And I think this is a very subtle difference, but I think that some things can feel like an expansion or can feel like an honoring choice that you're doing for self-care. And sometimes you're just contracting, but you're like lying to yourself. So I wouldn't
Hmm.
be able to give you like a blanket statement about what to do, but I would say, um, does this feel neutral?
Ooh. Welcome to the Strategies That Stack podcast. I'm your host, Victoria H. Boyd. I'm a corporate escapee and marketing consultant, and I'm on a mission to help you build a marketing strategy that is so stacked you become absolutely unignorable. Each week, I will bring you real stories, the actual data, and the true strategies that have propelled online creators and entrepreneurs to the top of their industries. So grab your coffee and let's jump in. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Strategies That Stack podcast. I'm so excited to be sitting down with one of my good friends, Lucia. Lucia is an amazing, not only business coach and business partner, but she is also a mindset whiz. She has helped me so much over the years with like summit stuff that's come up, with mindset, just stuff that keeps coming up, and really helped with my on-camera confidence, including helping me set up the set that you see behind me for my most recent summit. So I am so excited Lucia's here. We're going to be talking all about how mindset is actually a business strategy. So Lucia, I'm so excited you are here. Tell us a little about yourself.
So much for having me. This is obviously so fun for me because I love you, first of all. And yes, this is my jam. I love talking about mindset and about healing work and how it interacts with our strategies that we use in business and the decisions that we make. But one of the things that I really enjoy about this topic is that I have a background in spiritual psychology, lens through which I see business, right? Spiritual psychology is the practice of healing unresolved issues in service to being your authentic self and to really basically go for what's your purpose? Who are you in this world, right? And using everything for your upliftment, for your growth, and in a positive way, right? So I think that a
Yeah.
lot of the challenges that come up usually in business, and we as business owners can make a lot of decisions around these issues that are not necessarily expensive.
Ooh, I love that. I love how you broke
Yeah.
down what spiritual psychology is, but can we kind of segue a little bit directly into how that applies to business and maybe how our mindset can really just keep us stuck?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I've noticed a lot in business, specifically for people that are under $1 million. So like anyone from 100K to $1 million that maybe have like either one employee or either just like a few freelance supportive roles in their business, but it all comes down to their own shoulders in a
Yeah.
way, like their decisions are all on them. Um, when it comes down to it, a lot of the decision making process is a twofold, right? Is either reactive or directive, right? It's like, are
Ooh.
you directing your intention? Are you directing the change that you want to see in your business? Or are you just reacting to things that are happening all the time, right? So, planning a summit, if you think about it, it could be a directive like, oh, I want to plan a summit next year. I have this goals. Like, I want to grow my list. I want to grow my sales. I want to launch this offer. I want to collaborate on this. In your case, when you did the strategies that stuck summit, it's like, well, this really fits a lot of the goals that I have. This is how I will do it, right? But then there's a lot of reactions that can make a lot of the decisions that you make throughout that big decision, right? Of
Yeah.
who do you pitch? Who do you not pitch? What offer do you sell? How many emails do you send? How do you show up on social media to talk about your offer? Who do you reach out to? Who you not reach out to? What kind of pivots are you making throughout? And sometimes even a big decision like running a summit could also be a reactive one because it could be like, well, I just need this to feel this need, but truly is not coming from an expensive thing. It's just coming from, for example, like a belief that you don't have enough, right? So it
Yeah.
all comes down to like through which lens are you seeing it? And are you being like looking forward into the most expensive, best version of yourself and seeing this as a neutral circumstance? Or are you something that is negative, that you're making a decision out of a negative reaction?
Ooh, I love that we are going straight into that. So if somebody is really stuck in that like more reactive and they're not viewing things expansively yet, how can somebody begin to make those transitions into thinking that way?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that I see in the process of unfolding the intention of how you run your business, I think it's like, isn't it interesting? Like a lot of the best triggers are sales.
It is. It is so
I
interesting.
have sales, I have no sales, nobody's buying, but you're not seeing like what actions did you take? You're not seeing all the back things that support that sale. You're only seeing like, oh, nobody saw this and nobody bought
Right.
this or whatever, right? When it comes to, you could have like, for example, you see no sales coming from something you promoted, and then you kind of freak out, and then you're just spinning your wheels into what should I do? And then like those are reactive decisions. They're not really intentional decisions, right?
Hmm.
When I think about any challenge that you have in business, you're always problem solving. Two questions: revenue, most of the time, and operations.
Yeah.
Those are like the two kind of like the two speeds that you're kind of have like the main challenges in, probably. Um, and when you think about it, anything that requires your own input requires a level of neutrality and expansion in order for you to do whatever's for your highest good, right? So, one thing that I like to do is kind of like process the emotions, process the thoughts that are happening, because those are real. Like, if you're feeling it, I'm not saying just like go into that next launch into that next strategy that you're thinking to counteract whatever's going on. It's like process your feelings, process
Hmm.
your emotions, process your thoughts about it. And through that processing, you can kind of start like seeing the thread of like the yarn. If you start pulling that like thread, you can start of like seeing where that came from. A lot of
Yeah.
these unresolved issues from a past experience where it wasn't safe to be seen, it wasn't safe to, or maybe you felt like it wasn't enough, or you didn't have enough, or there's something around um something that needs your protection, right? All of these reactions, if you think about it, are ways that your ego or your mind is trying to protect you from suffering, right?
Yeah.
So let's just, let's not suffer, let's move on, right? Let's go, go, go. And so they're not really in complete collaboration with your dreams, with your purpose, with the big vision that you have for yourself. They're kind of contracting you.
Absolutely. I definitely felt that. I remember talking to you after I got hit by a car back in, what was that, June. And you were just like, what's changed for you? And suddenly I was viewing my business in just a very different light while I was also working on the summit at the time and my biggest launch at the time. And like all of these things that I really saw you practice while you were going through that. Um, so how does kind of like something you mentioned was like being seen and visibility and stuff like that. How can somebody kind of work through like the mindset of getting ready to be seen to be more expansive?
Yeah, I think there's, I'm going to give you a very specific example, because I think when you think about business, I think about like, why do we show up? We show up to make sales, we show up to grow the business, we show up to make it work. If you don't have sales, if you don't have revenue coming in, you don't have a business, it's kind of like on pause, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of these like revenue generating activities require your presence, either
Yeah.
through showing up online, running ads, uh, collaborating with other people, hosting people in your podcast, hosting collaborations like a summit or a bundle, and other things like emailing your list. That's showing up, right? It's like a lot of the money is in your audience. So sharing a video, sharing an email, showing up will generate sales. And so a lot of the things that can be tied into that fear of being seen are, related to those activities. And then people think I just need to show up. But I think that truly all you need to do is heal any unresolved visibility issue that is keeping you from showing up authentically and neutrally and just expansively.
So obviously you work with clients in this. I know you do. But what would be like one step somebody could take in healing that like deep, unresolved like trauma around being visible?
Yeah, I think it's like one thing that is like, if it ever felt unsafe to be seen, um, we create these coping mechanisms around it. I always say, like, time does not heal anything. They just become unresolved visibility issues that we created coping mechanisms for. And so
Yeah.
people think like, oh, I just need time. I just need time. And truly, no, you need to process, you need to feel, you need to heal, you need to get new tools in your toolbox if you need to process things. And if not, they will kind of like become this really, have you ever had like a smoothie or like a green juice in a bottle or a glass and like you forgot to clean it?
Yes. Yes, of course.
And then you just like, you try to clean it with soap and it won't come out. You just need to soak it for a while and then you just scrub and then it will take as long as it takes. And
What
then
a great analogy.
and the soap then won't stop coming, right? And it's like, well, you need to wait until it takes as long as it takes to clean. So like a lot of the process is like, we think it's a one and done situation. I went to one coaching session. I went to this, and yes, healing can happen instantly. I believe that. But also it requires eternal vigilance. You have to be willing to be paying attention to when the thing comes up again, to be able to bring it up to a level that you can handle it, heal it, and move forward. Because then you can just like, for example, one thing that was for me was body image was a big one for showing up. I had these hung up on body image that I wasn't skinny enough. I come from a very fat phobic country, Argentina, and I grew up there, and especially with my family dynamics and all that, like it wasn't a fun thing to grow around, and so to grow up around. And so a lot of my identity was tucked into not being skinny enough, worthy of being seen, right? And it makes this really, really hurtful way that I was relating to myself as I needed to promote my business. Like I was never perfect enough. Through healing these unresolved visibility issues, I was able to create a relationship with my body that was neutral. I don't need to love my body. I just need to be grateful for my body, that it works. Yeah. And that it's like, and that it's like in good condition. And I just wanted to feel neutral. I didn't want to have like any morality or any, I want to say value assigned to my body, if that makes sense. It was neutral. And now I do feel that way. But for the longest time, that was my biggest thing. And once I got over that and I started showing up more, I remember wanting to launch my first podcast. And I had been wanting to launch a podcast for about a year. Thinking about it. You know what? I had a fear that people were going to not like my accent. That they would not like hearing me because I'm not American from, I wasn't born here. I am American now, but like, because I chose to, but right. It was kind of, but I'm saying like, I don't have an American accent. I have, an Argentinian accent. And I really judged that as like not good enough, because I encounter a lot of racism in this country, I've been told, go back to your country. I've been told so many things.
Just horrible.
That's not what this is about. Yeah.
Horrible.
No, but I'm saying those things created in the back of my head the idea that I wasn't worthy of being heard because of my accent, because of my identity as a Latina,
Mm-hmm.
right? Who wants to hear from me? And so I had to heal those unresolved issues. I had to deal with that kind of back identity that was pulling me backwards instead of forward in my goals.
Yeah. That's something I see so often. It's just like this fear of being seen. It's something I really struggle with. Like on a different note, but also weight related. Like I was ballet dancer for years growing up, but I was always on the thicker side of being a ballet dancer. So I was never allowed in the front line of um not rehearsal, front line of like the shows. I was always in the back group because I was taller, which I can't do anything about being taller. I've got wider hips. I can't really do anything about that. And I was always just a little chunkier, no matter how much weight I tried to lose. And that is something that like you, I've carried with me for years. So this is like just very interesting to hear about. What would you tell somebody that's maybe struggling with marketing because they don't believe in, let's change it to their offer. Maybe they don't believe in their offer.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is like putting an offer is such a vulnerable thing.
It is. You were really putting yourself and your knowledge like on the line.
Ugh,
It is very
yeah, it's a very vulnerable thing.
underrated. Yeah.
Yeah, what if my offer is not good enough? What if what comes easy to me is not worth the value I'm assigning to this, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think that that's a real challenge. And if you don't believe someone will buy it, no one will buy it because the
Hmm.
content that you will create is gonna be will have this underlying message that you don't believe no one will buy. And so it's ingrained in like the content you create, the messaging you create, the emails that you write, you know? And so I think you can tell people don't believe in their offer when they oversell the free
With the
something,
bonuses
like
and stuff.
they're loading their offer with things that don't need to be there. They're over delivering, but not in a good way. It feels chaotic.
Hmm.
And I think you can tell that somebody doesn't believe in their offer when they don't email their list or they don't promote it, they don't
Ooh.
sell it on social media, they don't talk about it on social media, they don't sell it to their list. So like they have this assumption that if people would want it, they will find him or her or it or whatever, or the offer. And I think that just like is it's kind of interesting. It kind of becomes this like game that you play with yourself of like when you do get a sale, it's like, see, well, people when they want it, they find it. But you're just kind of like, well, you're not actively promoting it.
Validating like an unreal belief there.
Exactly. So everything that you're doing is self-sabotaging your offer.
Hmm.
And so one thing that you have to kind of reframe in your head around your offer is um sometimes this is kind of interesting, but sometimes it's like you are not your client,
Ooh, very true. Not something we talk
right?
about very often, though. We hear a lot of, oh, we'll create the product for you 3 years ago, or create what you wish you had when you began. But you're right. It could not be for, quote, you, unquote.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you such a random example of my best friend because I think she's
Love it.
like, yes, this is, I also like, I think that in the world of online courses, sometimes when you see a physical product, I think it's easier to see it. So
Hmm.
she started as a ceramicist. She used to do these beautiful mugs and bowls, stunning, like all the bowls. And I purchased all of my bowls from her. And you know what's funny? Now she moved to Colorado. So I think like every time my partner breaks something, I'm like, I need to get something. And like, I don't know when she will make the next one because she doesn't make these anymore. But she's an amazing ceramicist and she worked through her own stuff, became this amazing sculpture artist. She's an overall creative, just like
Hmm.
anything she touches is amazing. Her name is Paige Stewart. Paige Stewart Art is if you want to check her sculptures. She's been featured on Crate and Burl. on many like high design places and stores. And she has like these really beautiful sculptures and lamps, like sculptural lamps. It's
Oh,
just,
very cool.
and yeah, like anyway, she's like amazing, right?
Yeah.
She is what I would call someone that loves the hunt of a thrift store. Like that's her, like she loves thrifting,
I love
right? She loves
thrifters.
making things herself. She's a DIY
Mhm.
queen. She's a DIY queen, right?
Yep.
Okay, you're picturing this person. You know her,
Picturing the person, I
okay?
can see her.
You
I've had
know
coffee
her.
with her.
Her products are worth thousands of dollars each. They're high-end sculptures worth thousands of dollars. She would buy art. She does buy art, but she would rather make the art.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. She'd rather make it than
Buy
buy it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a maker. She's a DIYer. Her brain works as like she sees something. It's like I could make this in my like. She loves interior design.
She can make it in her own style.
She makes it everything in her own style. She has a very specific aesthetic that is like beautiful, and she's not her client.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. It absolutely does. It's very similar in the online space to we don't always, I mean, looking outward, we don't always need to invest. Sometimes we have exactly what we need and we just need to put the tools to work to actually create that email that we've been putting off sending instead of looking for a template. We have that inside of us. It's very similar.
Yeah, and then the other part of it is like sometimes you are your client, right? It's
Mhm.
like sometimes what you are seeking in your own world is also something that you offer. For example, I love personal development. I've always had a coach. You know, I've always worked with someone through my own mindset stuff and my own healing stuff, right? And so, in fact, I would argue that I want a coach that has been through it like I have, that has like all the same, maybe a peer-to-peer coach.
Yeah.
I want someone that has like that same level of understanding that can hang with me.
That can walk with you through the muck instead
Yeah,
of,
exactly.
yeah.
So I love the coaches in my life. I love Zoe Lumiere. She's been a coach of mine. I love Elsie Storm. She's been a coach of mine. She's a business coach. And I think that like overall, you can learn new skills and you can learn new things that you want to learn and improve yourself. And there's also things that you are very good at,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so just because you're very good at something and that's the something that you sell does not mean that, well, this comes easy to me. Well, it shouldn't be worth that much, right? Who
Yeah.
would want this? Like anyone can do this. No, not anyone can not do a sculpture. I was thinking about like the thing that is like so important to understand is that what comes easy to you is not worth less because it's easy to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you have to understand that there's inherent value and things, and the ones that come easy to you are the things that you can have more fun doing and leverage more, and that's why you chose them, but that doesn't mean that they're worth less because they're easy.
That is such a good takeaway. It doesn't mean it's less, doesn't mean it's worth less because it comes easy to you. And that's something like I struggle with that all the time of like, well, it comes easy. Why can I charge this much for it? You know, I can do it in 5 minutes, but it's like that image of like the electrician knowing what wire to cut that really makes that difference.
Yeah, I think it was Picasso.
Was it Picasso?
Was it Picasso
I
that
don't
had
know.
this someone has said like, hey, like do a portrait of me, and I think it was Picasso. I'm maybe butchering this anecdote. or story, but basically they paid them like a lot of money and he did it in 5 minutes. And they were like, why are you charging me so much if it only took you 5 minutes? You're paying for the years of experience that it takes for me to be able to do it in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so inherently knowing that there's someone in your audience that wants to hear from you, that is like loving everything that you're putting out, that loves what you have to offer, and that it's like craving the transformation that your offer provides, that is invaluable. And you're always speaking to that person. So if you have a past client or if you have a favorite client that you love, write your content speaking to them. And it's going to come a lot more easier. It's like, have you ever been there, like gone to a party and like being the life of the party and everybody's like hearing, I was like, oh my God,
Yes.
you're my new best friend. I want to hear everything you have to say. Like when you find that one person that is like, oh my God, this person is like so fun to be around.
So
like
magnetic,
I want to hear
so charismatic. Yes.
Like, yes, tell me anything and I will eat it up. Like I think that you have to think about someone in your audience is doing that exact thing about everything that you put out. And that's kind of like how it is. If you have someone in your life that is inherently like that, you can imagine talking to them, and that will make it easier to create content that markets your offers and sells your offers. And then one thing that I would argue that is like the most important part is take time to really unpack why you feel that way, why you feel like your offer is not good enough. Because it's usually like, it could be tied into people pleasing, it could be tied into something else. But I think at the end of the day, you need to really know where those thoughts are coming from in order for you to process them and heal them, right? It's like you need to forgive whatever past experience made you feel like what you do is not good enough, or that you have to put more out in order for you to be valuable. And so I think that like healing that, forgiving those experiences, being more compassionate towards yourself, and really just nurturing that inner self-talk that is like neutral or positive is going to lead you to better choices and more successful outcomes. Because if you go through creating content for your offer from the perspective that you're changing someone's life, if somebody bought this, like I would be changing this person's life.
It's easy to market when you come at it with that kind of
like everybody should hear about this.
Yeah.
Yes. And people sometimes do this naturally with things they love. I feel like I would be a great affiliate person if I wanted to do more of this, because I feel like every time I love one thing, like let's say I bought an air fryer for the first time, fell in love with an air fryer, bought one for everyone in my family. I bought one for Paige, my best friend. I bought one for my aunt. Everybody got an air fryer for Christmas. You know what I mean?
It's
so I'm that person.
Yeah, it's so funny. People are like, great example. Oh, I'm bad at sales. And I'm like, well, have you ever recommended to somebody to watch a Netflix special? Like, that's the same exact thing as sales. You just have to apply it to your own offer. That same excitement, that same enthusiasm. And I think getting that charisma can be a little bit hard because it is so much mindset work.
I know. I think when I was like, sometimes talking to my friends, and I would be excited about something, not a friend, like an acquaintance, right? The way I naturally talk, I can talk anyone into doing anything because I'm so excited about what I'm doing, right? And I remember when I first I became friends with some of my friends that were like doing everything I would recommend because I was so excited about the experiences I was creating for us to do, right? And I think that at the end of the day, it's like, if you want to be inside and just not do anything for a day, it's like, oh, no, I can't talk to Lucia because I know she's going to convince me to go out.
Oh, my gosh.
She's going to convince me, so I better not even talk to her. I know she's going to sell me the experience. We're going to be drinking margaritas until 3 a.m.,
Yeah.
Past Lucia. Like, this is like when I was younger. But, you get the gist, like, it's just like, what are you selling? You're always selling something, right?
Yes. Yeah. So what if somebody is, let's say, struggling with their business structure, maybe their marketing or launch plans, what would you tell somebody to maybe consider when they're pulling stuff together that also honors their energy, honors their mindset, honors, if they're in a retracted space or if they are feeling very expansive, like how would you kind of tell somebody that's maybe working on self-coaching here to work through that?
Yeah, I think planning is such a great tool to assess your energy and assess like where you're at. Um, and I think this is a very subtle difference, but I think that some things can feel like an expansion or can feel like an honoring choice that you're doing for self-care, and sometimes you're just contracting, but you're like lying to yourself. So I wouldn't
Hmm.
be able to give you like a blanket statement about what to do, but I would say, um, does this feel neutral?
Ooh. Can you go into
Does
that a
this,
little bit more? Does this feel
yeah,
neutral?
yeah, I think that like, um, it's interesting. I do usually like a body scan. And so when I have an idea, I sit with the idea. I don't just like, sometimes I do have fire in my pants and I'm gonna get going. But like, that's my ADHD brain talking. But usually an idea will come and I will let it sit in my heart for a minute, and you kind of feel it in. Do you feel like your aura just grows a bit, or do you feel like you're just like sinking in?
Mm.
Like you're just like want to be a little person in a little pocket. Do you feel like you're shrinking, or do you feel like you're expanding? Because I do think that that feeling in your body will give you a lot more information. um and then just like you can also journal about the idea and just think about why do I want to do this?
Why now, even?
Why now? Why do I want to do this? Why this way? And like look for excuses,
Yeah.
right? Whenever there's a shoot, definitely not expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever there's like curiosity or just like I wonder what will happen, like that's a little bit more neutral,
Yeah.
right? And so like for example, at one point I did one launch and I went live for like 5 days in a row. I went live on Instagram. I did like 5 lives, one a day. Would I do that again? Maybe. I don't think I would. I don't think I have the energy for that. But would I do a live stream a week? Yeah,
Yeah.
that feels good. Um, do I love sending emails? Yes, I do. Will I lean more into that for a next launch? Great. Do I feel like doing a webinar, or can I just do a pre-recorded one and just create a waitlist strategy? So like you're starting to make decisions based on truly who you are,
Mm-hmm.
but you're also taking in consideration what is expensive. So because a lot of people, I will say this, a lot of people have this idea that if they have an offer that is not set out to receive a lot of clients, they will sabotage their launch. So,
Ooh.
yeah, if they don't have the infrastructure to receive that influx of clients, they will do a poor launch.
That
And I
is
think
such a
that,
good point.
so you may sabotage yourself, in the actions that you choose to take because
Yeah.
of that. So yes, it's a very nuanced, very tricky thing, but overall you gotta feel it in. Do you feel like it's growing you, or do you feel like it's like you just want to become a little ball?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I'm getting better at listening to my body in that same way. And I know something's not right if I feel it in like the center of my chest, but I know something's
Mm,
right if I feel it in the pit of my stomach, which is just something very interesting that like I've learned that now I'm trying to apply to my business,
mm,
and not just my personal life, if we can even call our business that separate, to call it a personal life versus a business life. But I really like
yeah.
that.
Because, for example, like I could be wanting to avoid a webinar just because I have a fear of being seen. But I could be avoiding a webinar because I don't think that strategy lines up with what I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I don't believe in webinars. I do think webinars is like the highest performing opt-in that you can have. But I would say that um, does it really fit in with what I'm where I am right now? For example, my cat got really sick
Yeah.
and he almost died. It was horrible on my body, on my emotions, on my mind. I could
Mm-hmm.
not do anything but take care of my cat. He's fine now. Thank you. If you are wondering, like he's fine. But
I knew
for a
that.
little bit, for a little bit, for
For
a
a
little
little
bit
bit, it
was
was scary.
scary. It's
Yeah.
scary. And so like I had no capacity for anything else. So I kind of like took that in consideration in my business and I took less clients. I sunset some of my offers. I changed some of my structure and some things. I offered some easier offers that were easier for me and my body and my mind. And that was okay. Was it like the best for my coaching business? I would say that at the end, yes, because if I'm not here serving my clients to the best of my ability, I'm doing them a disservice. And I think that great clients create great referrals and great experiences and great testimonials. And, you're able to increase your rates because of that. So, like, I wanted to be able to deliver a high quality product. I didn't have that energy to deliver. So I stopped offering that offer and I launched offers that had a lower level of energy
Mm-hmm.
requirements. So it's really important to know that it's like very subtle, but only you will know. And because we are so good at lying to ourselves, that's when it becomes like
Yeah.
self-awareness is a tool that you can use for your own advancement at such a deep level so that you can make strategies that are aligned with your goals on a long term, not just like a momentary gain. I'm all about showing up online and showing up as the face of your brand. I believe that if you are a service provider or if you just have, if you're a coach, like being the face of your brand, like it's huge to show up. It creates a lot of more trust, transparency, and conversion. Like it really creates more sales when the more people get to know you, trust you, they will become clients as well. Um, and I think that one underused tool, especially since the iOS update, is Facebook ads. Because I feel
Ooh.
like you don't need to work harder, you only need to work smarter. So you need to show up. Yes, that's a necessity, like however you decide to show up. But I think a lot of people are sleeping on Facebook ads for their offers.
I am
And I
currently sleeping
think,
on it. Like I
yeah,
should definitely be doing more with Facebook ads. I know that.
yeah. And so I think that if you want to dip your toes on Facebook ads and start growing your audience and your sales at the same time while you are working on your own stuff, I highly encourage you. I have a course, but I'm going to give it to your audience for free
Thank
using
you.
code Victoria at checkout. You can put the link in the show notes. It's called Facebook and Instagram Ads Course for Coaches.
I actually
And
attended this live.
you
I have all my notes. I just have to
did.
implement. I have all of the notes still, like literally, like right over here on my whiteboard. They're magneted on, so I will absolutely have
Nice.
to implement it. But
I love that. And I added a bonus lesson once you complete it. So just submit your homework and
ooh,
you will unlock a bonus lesson on how to scale your ads.
ooh, so generous. Thank you. So let's transition into some rapid fire questions to end off the
Yeah.
episode. So question number one is, what is your favorite marketing that you've seen recently?
Hmm. My favorite marketing that I've seen recently, um, from a person or just like a strategy?
Anybody, anybody. From a person. This
Mm.
one's from a person
Oh, from a person, from a person. My
or a
favorite,
target, it can be anything.
mm, my favorite recently was from the live low ticket live from Elizabeth Goddard this year, where she included done in a week in the all access pass. and to be able to promote your low ticket offer to her entire list. I thought that was brilliant.
It really was.
I usually not an all access pass person, and that made me get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did it in a week, which
I
is my
did it too.
$9 offer course. The Facebook ad scores. Yes.
Such a good marketing strategy for her. I love that. So tell me a strategy that you tried that flopped and what you learned.
A strategy that flopped. I don't remember. Let me just give me a minute.
Like I blocked that one out.
No. I do think that there's some that flop. I don't believe that everything like that flops is bad. So
Right.
So it's like harder sometimes to see. Sometimes I've tried. Okay, so I think that it started I tried to flop. I don't know, maybe I'm not really good at doing this specifically in the way that I was doing it, but when I was a service provider, I tried doing a referral program, and that really flopped for me in the way that I did it. And now that I know a lot more about affiliate marketing, I feel like I would do it a lot different.
Yeah.
But I feel like it flopped because it was just telling people like, yes, share my name and you'll get a discount. But like, it wasn't like officially like done in a serious way. It was hard to track. It was hard to track. It's like, how do I, it was like kind of a hot mess. And I think that's why it flopped. I didn't have enough information. And I think a lot of the things that I learned as a freelancer in the beginning, they're kind of makeshift. It's kind of like you're trying these big strategies, but you're doing it at such a lower scale that doesn't require that big kind of setup. And then you're just half-assing them, and then like they don't work. So I think that like usually every strategy works if you work it. I think that most of the time you don't have the right pieces to make it work, or you're not giving it an honest try.
I love that perspective. And just to be clear, like Lucia and I, we both love referral programs. We were talking about affiliate marketing before we hit record. Like we are both super behind that strategy. The idea behind that question is just like, what's something that hasn't worked for you and what you learned from it? Because like we all have things like that. So
well, now it works, but that was when I was at first back then when I was just a budding photographer, service provider, and I was trying to use the referral thing, and it flopped. It didn't work at all. And I think a lot of the times when you're a photographer, people are like, oh, well, give me a free photo shoot and I'll give you clients. And that never works.
Right. That's just not, that's not it.
Right? How many times have we all heard that? Like, oh, just give it for me for free and I'll send everyone your way. It's like, no.
Maybe. Okay.
But now I do affiliate marketing. No, I just wanted to say something. Sorry.
Go for it.
I do affiliate marketing now. And it is one of the like if I have 3 legs for my marketing, affiliate marketing is one of a third of my efforts.
I love that. So affiliate marketing, like you promoting other people's offers, or affiliate marketing, like people promoting your offers?
Both.
Love it. Love it. What do you see in your space that you love, and what do you hate in your space?
You mean the coaching industry or the online
coaching
space?
Industry or the online space? You can take it whatever way you want to take it.
Yeah. What's one thing that I don't like? Oh my God, this one is a hot take.
I love hot takes.
It's a very unregulated industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there are a lot of great intentions that the course industry kind of like made everyone a teacher of sorts of their own craft. And I love that. Like I have my first course was self-portrait confidence, which I love. It was my bread and butter for during the pandemic, and I love that. And I moved more into coaching, into as a transformational business coach, I started noticing a lot of people that want to become coaches, or that there are coaches, but they don't have an actual training on coaching. So it kind of makes it hard for people to have a good experience with coaching. And so sometimes it can become a disservice, because you can be a coach within a tool and be great at that tool. Like, for example, I could be a marketing coach and I'm just talking to you about marketing, and that is great, right? But when you start bringing in the mindset stuff and um the more nuanced things that can happen, um if you don't have a training or a toolbox of things to help your clients, then there's a disconnect, right? And so
Yeah.
or some people had a great experience with a coach or with a therapist or with a group coaching where they learn some tools, but they're not certified in that tool, and they want to be coaches using those tools. And so, like, it becomes kind of like a watered down version of what the true tool is. And so sometimes it can become like that. So I'm not saying that you have to have like 500 certificates, but if you truly want to be in the coaching industry, choose one program
Yeah.
and really go deep into the tools that you want to sharpen. Also, as a coach, I'm always taking different trainings and upgrading my tools and marketing. Um,
Well,
I'm not saying that not anyone can teach marketing, but I'm saying is that if you don't know the why behind something, you're just sharing the formula or the template from someone else that you learned on somebody else's program without really knowing why it worked, why it didn't work, and so that you're not able to really take your clients to that next level of why something does work or does not work.
yeah, that was a great way to put it. What is one marketing tactic that you loved but have since abandoned for one reason or another, or maybe just forgot about?
I used to do JVs a lot when I was growing my course in the beginning in 2020. I think I just got burned out. Oh, I got
That's
frozen.
fair. Oh, you're still good on my side.
Okay, my computer just got frozen. It's fine.
Awesome.
Um, okay, yeah. I used to do a lot of JBs. I love JBs, but they just require a lot of energy, and I think I stopped doing them because of that.
Hmm.
I much rather now be like an affiliate partner with someone and just send them straight to the pre-recorded version of it than doing it live.
Love that. Well, Lucia, this was a fabulous conversation. Thank you so much for being here. Tell everybody where they can find you online. And of course, everything will be linked up in the show notes.
Well, you can find me online on my website, luciadoynel.com, and that's how you spell it, Doynel. It's actually French. It's pronounced Doynel, but that's how you go to the website. And my Instagram is the Lucias, and so you can find me there, and you can also see a lot of really cool videos already talking about these topics in a deeper tangent. So if you want to geek out about this, you can also go there, and my podcast, Ready to Be Seen.
Thank you so much for being here. This was an awesome conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.